Good afternoon, everybody. And before I get started, I just want to be the second to say congratulations to all of our honorees. I'm really looking forward to the ceremony, and having read many of your stories, we couldn't be more proud and more pleased to have you here with us today. Thank you. I'm going to talk today, this afternoon, it's dark in here, I guess, about what we got done, what needs to get done next, and how we can do it. I'm also going to ask all of you to think about how you can play a part in the solution, because no single person, school, or conference alone can fix what's broken. At the same time, singular, isolated actions can send shockwaves through our system. That's because this enterprise is the definition of distributed decision-making. To keep the things we love about our system and to continue improving it, every member must fully participate in every aspect. That means fully participating in the rules and the outcomes, just as you'd fully participate in a national championship. Because when that doesn't happen, when a quick win for one is prioritized, the whole suffers. I'm proud to say that NCAA leaders across our membership and staff prioritize the whole of the system in several areas to get a lot of good stuff done this past year. I was fortunate to visit 17 campuses, hold about 200 meetings with committees, conferences, student athletes, and coaches groups, and get to 13 NCAA championships, which of course are the best across all three divisions. Those sideline conversations help me better understand the realities that you face. And as a result, we're better serving student athletes in schools, improving the fan experience, and growing the college ecosystem. Division I student athletes benefited from another year of the core guarantees, mandatory health care and mental health services, and guaranteed scholarships. Divisions I and II combined to provide a staggering $4.1 billion in scholarships. $4.1 billion in scholarships makes college sports the largest provider of free financial aid to American students after the federal government. To put it another way, it's almost twice as much as the state of California hands out in college aid. It's a staggering investment that you all make in America's future, and you deserve enormous credit for that. And maybe even you should give yourselves a round of applause. We also grew the number of opportunities for student athletes to compete to 556,000 student athletes association-wide. That would be the most ever. And in D1, the total number of opportunities to compete grew to its highest level in 40 years. D1 is also on track to continue this growth despite cost pressures that we know are very difficult to manage. We're also in the midst of an historic academic year, the first in which schools can provide financial benefits directly to student athletes. I think this is a good thing. I proposed something similar 2 years ago, shortly after I got the job. Student athletes are now on track to receive over $1 billion in new direct financial benefits from their schools this year. Combined with scholarships and other aid, that adds up to about 50% of A4 revenue going right to the young people we serve. And on top of this, we work together to completely reform how D1 operates and double the number of student athlete votes on our boards. We're also better serving our member schools. The national office increased revenue by 25%, or about $300 million. We found savings to reduce overhead costs to 12% of revenue, which is down from 16%. This progress allowed us to absorb big pieces of some of the costly legal settlements before impacting distributions. And we also slashed the bureaucracy in D1 by about 30%. Fewer committees leads to faster outcomes and more nimble decisions. At the same time, we reorganized the national office structure to combine two departments and reduce executive compensation by about 10%. Processes that used to take months are now digitized, saving you paperwork and time and effort. And since launching our initiative with RefQuest, the total number of officials registered in the NCAA's central hub has grown by 26%. 98% of conferences throughout Divisions 1, 2, and 3 are taking advantage of this pool of officials. We're also annually evaluating every championship to ensure gender equity. This work has yielded tremendous progress for women's sports that student athletes experience at our games. Division 3 teamed up with the National Council for Mental Well-Being to provide mental health first aid training to every Division 3 campus at no charge. And D2 joined the free streaming initiative. Now, all rounds of championships are available for fans anywhere and anytime. And because of these positive changes, the NCAA has done a tremendous amount of work to make the system better for everybody. We're also better serving fans and growing the ecosystem that we all operate in. A massive step forward coming soon in women's sports will be acrobatics and tumbling and stunt as official NCAA championships. And flag football is moving ahead as an emerging sport. Once again, these new events will connect the NCAA with new fan bases, and we can't wait to get there. We also launched a new data sharing partnership with schools, conferences, and recently with the USOPC, enabling us all to expand and deepen our connections to fans. And one of my favorites, the Game On programming that we launched as part of our agreement with ESPN, is in full bloom. Let's take a look at the FCS preview.
The Dakota Dynasty lives on.
North Dakota State. You're staring a #1 overall seed in the FCS playoffs right in the face.
What are we willing to sacrifice to accomplish something we will remember for the rest of our lives? Grab a shovel and dig.
So many kids from the state of Montana. This is their Super Bowl.
This is a cool rivalry. There's a lot of cool stuff about it.
Ball out, and the Bobcats get it. The Bobcats win the game.
Knowing that he was going to be the starter playing against Army, that was what he's worked his whole life for.
And it is good! The Texans have done it!
Kick is up. It's good! And Harvard has won!
These episodes represent unprecedented exposure for everything from football to gymnastics to hockey and wrestling. That's a lot of positive change happening in the past 12 months. And again, most of it was made possible because our national office staff was empowered to advance critical initiatives, and our leaders in the membership prioritized what was best for the system at large. This progress took time to develop and advance. It wasn't accomplished through a series of hot takes on YouTube. I say this as a former public official. I think this year set an all-time high in social media chatter proposing easy-sounding solutions to just about every open issue in college sports. Tampering? I think there's an armchair QB with a Reddit post on how to fix that. Transfer rules, that got solved by a talking head during a TV timeout. My point is, we continue to face destabilizing issues not because we're ignorant of a ready-made Plan B. There is no better rule or quick fix that solves the problems we face, in many cases not without tremendous downsides. You should all be aware of those quick fixes because there's usually a middleman who stands to benefit. And beware of a solution that works for only 5% of student athletes that we serve and would come at a steep cost to the other 95%. It's our job to consider future Olympians the same way we consider future leaders who we serve just the same. And there's no question that the 5% matters a lot. It's where almost all the challenges we face are coming from. Judges are ordering the NCAA to grant a 6th, a 7th, or an 8th year of playing time to student athletes. Attorneys general and judges are rewriting transfer policies overnight. In many of these cases, a representative of a member school supports the lawsuits. Showing up in court, filing affidavits, the attacks on the rules are not just coming from outside the membership. Now, to be sure, it's a tiny fraction of the membership, but they destabilize 100% of our athletic programs. There's no more perfect rule or bylaw that can overcome that. That's not to say we can't make progress. We have to, and we will. We're reimagining the infraction system and updating our rules. But internal reform is not enough when the laws change from state to state. That's why we have to engage the federal government, not to run college sports, but to stabilize them. Now, when I was in front of you last year, we talked about how only Congress could address many of the issues that we face. For better or for worse, that's still true. But it's clear we need to respond to the message lawmakers are sending and focus on areas of common ground. I know that lawmakers are seeing the progress that we've made as an association. The core guarantees, the launching of a new era of revenue sharing, post-eligibility health insurance reform, streamlining D1 and doubling student-athlete votes. I know that because they talk about it. All those changes in many cases were long overdue, and we accomplished them together. Next, we must continue our internal momentum by simplifying the infractions process, fixing broken calendars, and finishing the job of eliminating outdated rules. In Congress, I believe there is common ground around the period of eligibility, academic standards, reasonable transfer policies, and other bedrock principles. Through targeted intervention on only the narrowest of issues in Congress, combined with our continued internal transformations, we can build the system that today's athletes expect and require. Now, I've been part of a lot of difficult efforts to craft difficult legislation on difficult issues. Sometimes to make progress, we have to break issues up, make incremental progress where we can, and come back to what we can't. But we'll get nowhere, regardless of the issue, if we as college sports leaders are not on the same page. We also need some federal guardrails to protect what we think of as the integrity of the game. And in addition to the areas mentioned previously, this need is especially urgent as it relates to sports betting. Legalization has brought with it a host of threats to our games and to student athletes. In response, the NCAA built the largest integrity monitoring program in the world. We educate hundreds of thousands of athletes about the rules and the risks of sports betting. We find and report threatening messages athletes receive online. We even teamed up with Venmo because student athletes were getting harassed by bettors who had gambling debts. Our enforcement team uncovered student athletes who manipulated their performance to win bets, and we caught coaches trading inside information. And we took action and we banned those responsible. But the sports betting community's response to that was a shoulder shrug. While sportsbooks announced they're taking some prop bets off the market for NBA games because, in their own words, the bets are too risky, they refuse to do the same for college prop bets. In some respects, the sports betting industry's drive for profits is coming at the expense of our student athletes, and it must stop. The NCAA successfully managed to get 4 states to drop these prop bets, but several more inexplicably, that's a tough word, inexplicably haven't done so. But we're going to keep talking. And it's about to get worse. So-called prediction markets are offering what anyone can see is an unregulated betting on college games. One operator, Kalshi, made plans to start taking bets, and I kid you not, this is true, on transfer portal decisions, until we called them out and they backed down. But that's just maybe a for now. Just as we need Congress to stabilize eligibility, we need federal regulators to stabilize this market. And that's why today we petitioned the Commodity Futures Trading Commission to pause all college sports commodities offerings until the agency can develop the same regulations that legal sports books operate under. Whether it's transfer windows or prop bets, the answer cannot be the status quo. We need one set of fair and transparent standards. Now, the NCAA has led a more aggressive response to sports betting than probably any other league in the country, and I really do hope more will join us in this effort. Now, as we gather today in the capital city of our democratic republic, I will spare you the civics lesson on why democracy works and how it could come undone. Instead, I'll just leave you with a story. In 1787, at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, delegates from across our young country designed our federal government system. When the work was done and the Constitution was written, a woman asked Ben Franklin what form of government had been formed. He famously replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." His point was that a system where many independent interests come together and agree to work for a common good is fragile, no matter how well it's designed. And it's fragile because it only works when everyone commits to following the rules, even when it's not convenient. And it requires everyone to participate in the process as designed and agreed to. We need to decide as a membership whether we want to put the system ahead of the easiest option in the moment. We need to accept penalties when they're fairly handed out, just as we all expect our opponents to do. And this may sound a little naive and altruistic, but the fact is, these are choices. And because college sports are unlike any other sports league on the planet, we need to act differently. We're not composed of a few dozen teams. We have nearly 1,100 schools, nearly 20,000 teams, and 550,000 student athletes interconnected across 3 divisions. The success of the Power Conference schools absolutely lifts up the rest of Division I, and Division I lifts up Division II and Division III. And it's a system that's worked for a very long time. And with everybody's active participation, and especially their good faith, it's a system that we can keep. I thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to working with all of you in the year ahead on some of these critically important initiatives. Thank you.